شو ممكن الفلسطينية يعملوا عشان يزيدوا العلاقات الإيجابية مع الإسرائيلية؟
العلاقات الإيجابية
مع الإسرائيلية.
يعني هذا شيء سياسي ما أعرفش يعني هذا شغل تعيين السياسي.
This is something that the politicians should do.
شو بتتطلب الأمور السياسية بيعرفوها تعيين السياسي.
This is something that politicians should do.
The regular people shouldn't try?
الناس العاديين مش لازم يجربوا بالك؟
الناس العاديين ممكن ما يعرفوش يتعاملوا مع الإسرائيليين.
Perhaps the normal people don't know how to deal with Israelis.
Okay, because the politicians aren't doing a good job.
لأنه عشان السياسيين مش عم بيعملوا في إشي منيح يعني مش عم بيظبطوا شغلهم فلو مثلا الشعب يعني حدا عادي زيك يحكي مع الشعب الإسرائيلي شو ممكن نعمل عشان نزيد العلاقات الإيجابية بيننا وبينهم؟
أي شيء إيجابي نعمل.
Anything positive can be done. مثلا في حدا حكى مثلا تجارة مثلا
والتجارة مسؤول عنها تعيين السياسي تعيين المسكين التجارة الناس العاديين ما بيطلع بدون شيء.
I said business. He said that the politicians are in charge of the business. Normal people can't really do anything. There's nothing in their hands.
التجارة مواضيع السياحة مثلا وهي المواضيع المسؤولين عنها.
Business and tourism. The politicians are in charge of that. How about cultural things?
Yeah, or just speaking to each other.
Okay, مثلا أشياء ثقافية أو أشياء ثقافية أو شيء بس نزيد التواصل بيننا وبين الشعب الإسرائيلي.
ممكن شغلات الجامعية أكاديمية.
Perhaps something with the universities, something on the academic level, something can happen.
Okay.
A question about positive relations between Israelis and Palestinians. Israel itself doesn't want any solutions.
Okay, but what does she think? Wait, I forgot the name of the question. How can Palestinians create positive relations with Israelis?
إذا بتحب تجاوب بالإنجليزي كمان براحتك.
What can Palestinians do to create positive?
Yeah.
We do everything.
Like what?
Everything.
I need an example.
Look to our Palestinian policy. So Abu Mazen policy with them.
Okay. Of what? What?
Of everything.
No, I need an example.
ايش بنسميها احنا اللي هو التنسيق الامني اللي كان عامله معهم.
Security coordination.
Security coordination, okay.
Coordination.
It's one of the positive.
But that's how does that help positive relations with regular Israelis?
هلا نيجي على التشدد الديني تبع الإسرائيليين مش تشددنا احنا.
If we came to talk about the Jewish extremism and not to talk about our own
No, the question is for them though.
extremism.
She keeps switching it back. The question is, I'm going to ask the Israelis the same question, I swear.
بس
What can you do?
نقطة بس أسأل. لمين الدراسة هاي؟
قناة على اليوتيوب اسمها Ask a Palestinian.
Ask a Palestinian. اوكي. يعني هاي فيها تصوير صح؟
إذا بدك.
No, ما بدي تصوير.
Okay, this
Is
has,
it just only a voice?
Recording?
Okay.
No, I don't want to be recorded. But if it's only my voice, I have no problem.
Okay.
Okay,
So I'm not showing her.
انتي مش مبينة بس صوتك طالع.
اوكي. هلا بحكي على انه ايش اللي احنا الشغلات الايجابيه اللي لازم نعملها عشان اسرائيل تحس
Now what are
الشعب
the positive
الاسرائيلي
things
يحس
that we
فينا
have to do that for the Israeli people to feel something positive from us? Yes? نعم.
هلا طلع انت لعمالنا، عمالنا وين بيروحوا
Look
يشتغلوا؟
at our laborers. Where do they go to work? وين؟
في اسرائيل.
In Israel.
يعني لو احنا ما بدنا شغله بس قاعدين ببنوا في اسرائيل.
This
بيروح ببنوا في
is a
بناهم.
positive thing because they are going to construct Israel. They're going to build there and build their buildings and constructions.
شو بدك أكتر من
What do you want? Something more
What about actually speaking to Israelis?
We don't have problem with the Israelis. We have problem with Zionists.
Okay, but Israelis are Zionists, so speak to them.
No, not all Israel. No.
So
في عندك حركات اللي هي البيس موفمنت صح ولا لا؟
they're also Zionists.
Okay.
They're also Zionists. That's a Zionism.
No.
Yes. You just don't understand what Zionism is, but that's okay. What would you do to make peace? What can you do? You yourself.
For me? No. Nothing. Just stay and watch.
Just sit and watch?
Yeah. Just stay and watch.
Would you, let's say, connect to Israelis on Facebook?
No.
Why?
نيجي لقصة المرة. كيف احكي لك بالانجليزي او انت ترجميها له
Yes.
اسهل. كل على الفيسبوك مش مضمونين
All those who
او
are
حتى
on
الانترنت
Facebook,
عموما.
it's not so safe or they're not so guaranteed.
Okay.
بتصير هي اسا تعرفي سقط في عمالها في
As you
في
know,
شغلات زي
perhaps
هيك.
a person can fall into not espionage, but like being a traitor
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah,
Traitor to his people,
yeah.
her people.
Or like عمالة, he could become perhaps a collaborator.
Okay.
مظبوط.
بالضبط. فلا
That's right.
لكن تفرق. انا بحكي مع ناس جوش.
But I do speak, but it's different. I speak to Jewish people.
Where?
When?
في امريكا. في
In
جزء
the
منهم.
US.
But only if they're anti-Israeli, no?
بس اللي هم ضد إسرائيل ولا كمان الأشخاص اللي مش ضد إسرائيل؟
تقريبا بنحكيش في مواضيع سياسية بس كيف القصة بتصير
We
انه
don't really talk about
اعتراضنا مش
politics.
على
Okay.
دين.
But
اعتراضنا مش على دين.
our opposition is not
على شخص
about
بقتلنا.
their religion. It's about a person who is killing us.
Okay.
What do you think Palestinians can do to create positive relations with Israelis?
You're asking about what Palestinians can do.
Yeah.
You're not also asking about what Israelis can do. Right?
We're gonna ask them.
We're going to ask the same question to the
And
Israelis.
basically, from my point of view, it's very simple. Maybe it's not very practical, but I think it's simple. Just accepting the idea that both people live in the same land and just respect each other. But unfortunately, each party thinks that this is their own land. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But now there's a fact on the ground, which is there's more than one people. Even the Palestinians, there are Christians, there are Muslims. In Israel, you have more than different sects. If everybody accepts the fact that they can live here peacefully, it will be perfect. But again, it's utopic.
So,
Peacefully.
go on.
Just accept this is my neighbor. I treat him well. He treats me well.
Can there be peace? Do you think there can be peace? Can people accept peace?
If they want to, yes, but I don't think there will be peace.
Why? People consider the word peace as a dirty word or as a bad word. Why?
I don't know. It's their problem. It's not mine. Peace is something good.
So, but the original intent of the question is, what can you, as a Palestinian, do to show, to create better relations? Meaning on an individual level. So what's something that you can think of that maybe you can show either the Palestinians want peace or you want peace, or that could create better relations? Either way.
You said as an individual,
Yeah.
nothing.
You don't think there's something?
And as far as I can think of, it's nothing in my hand as an individual. It's politics. Whether Palestinians or Israelis they are brought up with specific preconceptions about the other side. So one thing individuals can do is maybe just promote for the peace idea, starting from childhood for the children, bringing them up that we can live in peace instead of just no, this is the enemy. We have to treat them as an enemy, and we expect them to treat us as the enemy. And I think it's a matter of bringing up a new generation with a different way of thinking.
Okay.
But whoever is there, the older generation, even the younger generation, are already focused on this idea. Another thing, maybe using art as a way of communication, and I've seen this in more than one way, like theater, music, doing it together with the other side, coming up with something common. But I'm not sure it's that easy.
Okay.
This problem has been there since the beginning of time. If you believe in the Bible and you go back, it has been there. And I'm not sure that it will end before the end of time.
Okay, let me put it to you in a different way or reverse way. If I'm an Israeli and I'm telling you,
Are you?
I accept you as Palestinians, as equal, as my equal. I can understand your pain. I can sympathize with what you go through. Do you think that helps? It doesn't mean I necessarily agree with everything on a political level,
Yeah, but
but
are you
I sympathize on a
Again,
human level.
on a human individual level.
Yes.
But we're separated. What يعني, how would you affect me if you're living wherever in Israel
Okay.
and you're sympathizing with me?
I don't know. Would it? That's the question. Would it affect you in any way?
Maybe slowly, very, very slowly, if this can affect politics and government.
Okay.
But still, on individual level, we're not mixing.
Sure.
Palestinians and Israelis are not mixing, so what would it matter? There are borders on the ground, separation. Maybe emails would help. I don't
Facebook.
know. SMS.
Add me on Facebook.
Okay.
شو ممكن الفلسطينية يسووا عشان يخلقوا علاقات إيجابية مع الإسرائيلية؟ بس
مش الفلسطينيين لازم يعملوا اول شيء الاسرائيليين لازم يعملوا لان احنا المضطهدين.
Look, it's not the Palestinians who have to do positive relations. It's the Israelis because we are the ones who are oppressed.
I'm going to ask them the same question. Don't worry. But what can you do?
احنا عم نسألهم نفس الأسئلة. احنا عم نسأل الفلسطينية والإسرائيلية. فهلا أنت شو ممكن تسوي؟ أنت أو الفلسطينية.
أنا كأعمل يعني.
I as a Palestinian.
هو السؤال نفس السؤال. هلا لو أنا مضطهد وأنا محتل بيتي، أنا لازم أعمل إشي عشان محتلني يعني.
So look, I'm oppressed and I'm occupied. I'm the one who's supposed to do something positive. I'm sorry.
لأن المحتل هو اللي لازم يعمل يعني أنا مش محتله يعني أنا واحد إجى أخذ المحل
I'm not the occupier. Somebody came and occupied my
أخذ
place.
محلي أنا شو أعمل معاه يعني
What am I supposed to do?
هو لازم يعمل معي.
Am I supposed to tell him okay sit and like stay there? No, he's supposed to do something for me and with me.
But how is he supposed to know about your suffering?
Okay, طب the Israeli? كيف ممكن الإسرائيلي يعرف إنك أنت عم بتعاني؟
سوري بس اسمع.
Excuse me, Lala.
إسرائيل بده يعرف من أكثر من مجالات الحياة هلا
through
على سبيل المثال
several things in life. For example,
حياته أسهل من حياتنا.
His life is easier than ours.
تعليم.
But how would Israelis know that?
Their education is better than our education through certain aspects in life.
What does that mean?
شو بالضبط قصدك يعني
كيف يعني هلا على المحسوب مثلا أنا بقعد ساعة
بس عن إذنك أنا آسفة كيف الإسرائيلي ممكن يعرف إنك أنت عم بتعاني؟ الإسرائيلي عايش بعيد والفلسطيني عايش هنا.
هلا مش الإعلام عندهم.
This is so an Israeli is living far from a Palestinian. How would he know? So he's saying through media.
But if the media doesn't show him, why doesn't he show him?
طب إذا الإعلام مش عم بيفرجي ليش ما أنت تفرجيه؟
هلا إذا فيش هو إعلام ما بيفرجي ما في أكثر من إعلام هلا أنا مثلا
عندي إعلام أكثر. There is more than one media.
More than one media.
There's more than one media that would show.
They must manage that they can do peace between each other and to have a nice decision to do the peace nearer because people they need it.
Okay. What can Palestinians do to create positive relations with Israelis?
Oh, okay. Well, it's a tough one. There's a lot of things that can be done. I think the first and most important would be the education. I think mixing, having a bit more not so segregated schools because at the moment it's really basically on both sides that you really just have Palestinians in one school and Israelis or Jews in the other schools and they don't mix a lot. And I think that's the basis for the whole problem is that there isn't any integration in that sense. And that's not just in the schools, that's in where they live and in where they play and all of those things. It's very segregated, the society. And I think that that's the major problem we have, that there is no interaction between us in that sense. So, that just builds I don't want to call it hate, but I mean, there is that animosity between the two peoples because we just don't mix, so we don't get the little differences with each other and it just grows. And of course, the whole system's built that way that it then, makes it, they build it up. In the schools, it's built up on both sides, that that's the enemy and that's the enemy and that just is, I think, the basis for the whole problem, I'd say. So for me, the easiest and the best way would be really to have a bit more integration in all of those aspects of life.
Okay. Can you think of another idea that Palestinians specifically, West Bank Palestinians, could do to make more positive relations with Israelis?
it's a bit difficult for them because they don't really have the option of entering into places where they could have the interaction or be able to do something. It makes it very difficult. I mean, there's of course a million different things a person could do if the borders were open and people could actually mix freely. But the fact that most West Bankers can't get into Israel without having permits and all of that, which makes it very difficult, then of course sports would be the easiest way maybe. I mean, if they could get, you know, one team from here to play against a team from there or something.
There are, I mean, people watch this. People do these things,
Yeah.
and there's Visit Palestine, which is a group of Palestinians who invite Israelis specifically to come see the reality of West Bank. There's the Paris
Also
Center does
tours,
things. So people will then call Palestinians, sorry, not Israelis, will call that normalization. So
True.
how do you get around that?
Around
Well, my thing is, how are Israelis even supposed to know about what's going on in the West Bank if they've never met a Palestinian?
or entered the West Bank.
Or entered the West Bank, 'cause
except
they
for
don't.
the settler roads and stuff like
And
that.
most 90% of Israelis
Haven't
do
even
not,
done that, yeah.
and will not.
Yeah, true.
So how?
Yeah, that's the basis of the whole problem, I think. For how you get past that is by making it a bit easier for people to cross the border. I mean, they had the idea of with the buses that could go straight through, and for the, I think recently they talked about letting doctors and stuff like that have a easier access.
Yeah, they can now bring their cars into Israel. We were just talking about that today.
So things like that will help, of course. It's a little too little. You know, it needs to be a bit more, and you've got to get rid of the fear that both sides have of each other. And honestly, you have to start slowly with little things and build it up till the people are more comfortable with each other in that sense. Because if you just open it at one time, I mean, it's not going to work. That will create too many problems, I find. But it's a difficult situation. There's no one easy answer that can clear the whole thing up. Like I said, I think basically the best place to start is when you're young. Get them when they're young, and then you can actually have a chance of changing something. But it's a lot harder to change people's minds after they've had years of that build-up. And, you know, for the Palestinians, which is the side I see more, you've got the occupation, and that's just in your face the whole time also. So that doesn't help either, of course.
عندنا واحد من الأسئلة عن السياسة. شو في إشي ممكن الشخص الفلسطيني يعمله عشان يزيد العلاقات الإيجابية بينه وبين الإسرائيلية؟
العلاقات بين الإسرائيليين؟
العلاقات الإيجابية. أو عشان يخلق علاقات إيجابية، بدنا نحكي نزيد.
يعني خلق العلاقات الإيجابية بين إسرائيل ممكن من خلال التجارة.
Perhaps through trade and business.
يمكن إنه تعاملات البزنس هاي بتخلق إيجابيات خاصة بالديانات كمان وشغلات زي هيك، إنه مثلا شركات إسرائيلية ما لهاش دخل في الإشي اللي بيسويه إسرائيل.
For example, Israeli companies that have nothing to do with the religious conflict, they can have business relations with the Palestinians.
ونفس الشيء هذا بينعكس علينا مثلا مصانع الحجر اللي بنوديهم على إسرائيل جوا الحجر كله.
And this would also reflect on the stone industry. We can send stone from Palestine into Israel because بيت لحم has stone.
يلا هذا هو
بس هيك ممكن نزيد العلاقات الإيجابية بيننا وبينهم، أو نزيد الثقة مثلا. If we can.
ما ظنيتش يصير في الثقة.
What about increasing trust? I don't think we can increase trust.
No.
But what can we do? I think the Israelis are the ones who should do the positive things.
Okay, but what can he do? I'm going to ask the
They
Israelis.
control everything.
But I'm going to ask the Israelis after. What can you do?
What can we do? If they give us our land, we can do.
No, before. How would they know what you want if you don't ask? If you don't speak to them?
We don't have anything to give, so they control everything. So they.
But you can talk.
We can talk. We don't have anything, so we can't afford anything for them.
Because you don't have any land, you can't talk.
Again.
Why can't you talk?
Because we don't have any land, ما عندناش أراضي.
Yes, for sure. We
But
don't
so you
have
can't just
anything.
talk?
We don't have the policy to give anything. They control everything.
But to speak to regular Israelis.
Yeah,
Not the government, the people.
the people.
the government who control everything, so everything with them.
But the people elect the government, so maybe it'll help if you speak to the people.
Not really. They both are together. They talk about that same policy, about the same.
So how can things get better unless you try something?
We don't have anything to give.
Of course you do. Everyone has something to give.
You are talking about terrorists.
Economy.
Not, the economy is with them. Everything with them.
Somebody just told us perhaps we can have business relations with them.
Business relations. It's restricted to some people. Not. I mean, on the high levels, it's restricted to some people, not to all.
But maybe you could have more, and then you could meet more people. They could understand you.
Yes, maybe, but not for all Israelis. If you are talking about مستوطنين, settlers, they are not مش متعاونين.
They're not cooperative.
They are not cooperative.
I know some settlers who want to live in peace with Palestinians. Would you speak to them?
Not the one who live in the West Bank. Maybe you are talking about the people who live in Jerusalem or
people who live in Gush Etzion, who want to live in peace with Palestinians.
Most of them are not. Even they.
But I know many. So would you speak to them?
Even I don't mind. It's
Okay.
Okay, what would you say?
We wish to live in peace, to have our تعاون مشترك.
Cooperation.
Cooperation between us, good culture, good. But I think it's impossible. I'm telling you, we wish that, but it's impossible.
Okay.
Why? Is it a trust issue? Is it the government? Is it what? What would
Because we
happen?
know the Israelis, they don't give anything, so I think it's impossible.
هاي واحد من الأسئلة. شو في إشي ممكن الفلسطينية يسووه عشان يخلقوا علاقات إيجابية مع الإسرائيلية أو مع الجانب الإسرائيلي؟
كيف يعني أوضح؟
Can you please clarify?
Something that he can do so Israelis know that Palestinians want peace.
إشي أنت ممكن تعمله عشان الإسرائيلية يعرفوا إنه الفلسطينية بدهم سلام.
نتجنب مظاهرات، نتجنب مشاكل.
We could stop doing demonstrations. We could stop making trouble, avoid trouble, and avoid demonstrations.
By trouble, he means violence. Like,
إيش قصدك في مشاكل عنف؟ Yes.
okay, that's a good idea.
فكرة منيحة.
Would he speak to Israelis?
مستعد تحكي مع حدا إسرائيلي؟ لا. No.
Why?
ليش؟
شو بدي أحكي معه؟
What would I say?
Tell your side. Why you?
مثلا تحكي قصتك أنت أو مثلا يعني الجانب الفلسطيني شو عندهم يحكوا. طب كيف ممكن نعمل إشي إيجابي معهم إذا بدناش نحكي معهم؟ يعني إذا أنت مش رح تحكي معهم مين رح يحكي معهم؟ If you're not gonna talk to them, who's gonna talk to them?
شو بدي أحكي؟ مش بحكيش معهم في.
What did I say?
I don't talk to them. What would I say? Perhaps examples would help.
Do you think do you suffer under occupation?
مثلا هل أنت بتعاني من الاحتلال؟ من الحياة تحت الاحتلال؟
أكيد.
Yeah, of course.
So how would Israelis know unless you tell them?
طب كيف ممكن الإسرائيلية يعرفوا هذا الإشي إذا أنت بتحكي لهمش؟
في غيره بحكي.
Somebody else can do the talking. There are others who would talk. Would they listen to me?
Maybe.
Sure.